News Central now at this hour begins in Nigeria with update on the impending industrial action by the Nigeria Labour Congress. The Director General of the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, Ajayi Kadri, has confirmed that the organized private sector has accepted the federal government's proposal for a new minimum wage of 60,000 naira. Ajayi disclosed this during an interview in Abuja on Saturday. He clarified that ongoing negotiations between the government, the private sector and Labour were focused on establishing a minimum wage rather than a living wage, which represents the lowest amount that can be paid to any worker in the country. According to him, both the government and the private sector face significant constraints in fulfilling the proposed 419,000 naira living wage request. Ajayi explained that the private sector is dealing with economic challenges and inflation, making it impossible to pay such an amount. And I'll tell you that the Nigerian government has pleaded with the organized labor to reconsider its decision to embark on an indefinite strike from Monday, June 3, 2024, in protest against the government's refusal to raise the proposed minimum wage from 60,000 naira. The interest of the masses should be the top priority of organized labor, the federal government stressed. While describing the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress as partners in Project Nigeria, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Idris Mohammed, noted that industrial action was not the solution to the ongoing negotiation for a new minimum wage for workers. This came hours after the organized labor declared a nationwide strike, which would begin on Monday, June 3, 2024, over the federal government's refusal to raise the proposed minimum wage from 60,000 naira. Away from that, we tell you that Nigeria's federal government says that its foreign policy thrust will continue to focus on Africa and remain Afrocentric in its objectives. Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, while speaking to several youths from the Abuja hub of the Global Shapers community at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja, said that this has been enshrined in the nation's constitution and thus cannot be changed. He added that the new 4D policy thrust built on the four cardinal pillars of democracy, development, demography, and diaspora will guide Nigeria as it engages with the international community. Amadin Oyi reports.
It was a session with several youths from the Abuja hub of the Global Shapers community as part of the Global Shapers Abuja Dialogue series. With the theme of the series, Youth Action Towards Driving Nigeria's 4D Foreign Policy Agenda, the youths expressed the need for Nigeria to walk its talk among African nations.
We understand in the global scheme of things that Nigeria is in a place where, without us taking our rightful place, the rest of the black race, Africa, will not be able to become what we want it to be.
They urged the foreign minister to explain the 4D foreign policy to the group, so as to reveal the role young Nigerians can play in achieving its objectives.
We've decided to look at one of the foremost policies of the ministry, and one that we feel is very important to us as young people, which is the 4D foreign policy agenda. We really want to, as young people, understand what is our role in this. How can we help the Honorable Minister and Mr. President to succeed in this agenda to revolutionize and reposition Nigeria for global relevance and global leadership?
The Minister of Foreign Affairs, while commending them for the dialogue, says that the 4D policy, summarized into the four pillars of democracy, development, demography, and diaspora, are aimed at helping Nigeria achieve its foreign objectives. While he insists that Nigeria will continue to push for the progress of the African continent, he says that this has been mandated from the nation's constitution.
The foreign policy objectives of Nigeria are enshrined in the constitution. They're there for all to see. So focusing on Africa, first and foremost, you can't change that, whether you like it or not. Because some say, well, why don't we just forget this Afrocentric approach? But it's in the constitution. You would need to amend it to be able to do so.
He also adds that it will serve as a platform for engagement with the international community.
The whole idea of these 4Ds is to also use it as a basis for engaging. So we have something in common with China, we have something in common with India, we have something in common with Brazil, with the United States. These are all large countries, with Indonesia, the countries with a population of over 200 million.
The minister maintained that Nigeria remains non-aligned to any nation in the international community and is open to work with all countries in its quest for development. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
To security matters now, former Minister of Education Obiageli Ezekwesili has called out the Nigerian military and the government over the persistent insecurity plaguing the country. In a statement released on her X account on Saturday, she expressed condolences to the families of soldiers killed in Abia, demanding answers from the military and government on their failure to address the recurrent violence. Ezekwesili questioned the inability of security operatives to arrest, investigate, prosecute, and punish criminals, urging the president to take leadership and ensure the security of the country. She asked why the president is failing to effectively lead the military establishments to punish crimes and secure the people and soldiers across the country. Still talking security, the Abia state government has promised to bring to justice those responsible for the killing of 5 army officers in Aba on Thursday. The state government, in a press statement issued by the Information Commissioner, Oke Kanu, condemned the dastardly act and announced a 25 million naira bounty for information leading to the arrest of the perpetrators. An expanded Security Council meeting, including the newly inaugurated Advisory Council, the Commissioner of Police, Kenechukwu Onwomelie, and the Special Advisor to the Governor on Security, MacDonald Uba, addressed the incident. The CP assured that the law would take its full course on those involved in the attack at Obikabia Junction in Aba, while Uba expressed deep sorrow over the killings.
The point is that it's a very unfortunate incident, and it's highly condemnable, and indeed it's cowardly. But it happened yesterday, and all I can tell you is that the security agencies, the government of Abia State, and all well-meaning Nigerians feel very bad about what has happened, and everything that needs to be done will be done to ensure that it doesn't happen again.
As citizens, I advise we remain law-abiding, remain calm. Anyone who sees something should say something. Security is everybody's business. I use this opportunity to say that anybody who has credible information has to lead us to apprehending the perpetrators of this act. We call forth to come forward.
Earlier, Poli Ezumoha, a politician, spoke to us on this.
The death of these military young men, I can say their deaths were unwarranted. There's nothing that can justify them. So I really, extend my condolences to the families of the deceased. Well, the fact remains that so many killings in the land, in the country, a lot of things are not really, making up. And I believe that it's time for government to think beyond the immediate environment, to find out the immediate causes of all these killings, and also, listen to ways of proactively stopping.
Nigeria's Defense Headquarters has warned against the continuous assault and attack on military personnel around the country. This was as the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, spoke to newsmen in Abuja, saying recent cases of assault on soldiers and attacks on personnel are counterproductive and demoralized personnel, putting their lives at risk on behalf of the nation. It warned troublemakers to change their ways, as the military will not condole with the continuous abuse of its personnel.
These actions against troops by unscrupulous elements are counterproductive and amount to self-sabotage. Indeed, these troops, or soldiers as you wish to call them, these are real people. Amongst us, we have lawyers, we have doctors, we have nurses, we have technicians, we have accountants. We have all sorts of professionals amongst us. We are drawn from all parts of this country. We're not foreigners that invaded Nigeria. The military are all Nigerians.
Away from that, a suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, has been released from the Kuje Custodial Center in the Federal Capital Territory after spending 27 months in detention. Kyari was detained following his arrest on February 14, 2022 by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency for alleged involvement with an international drug cartel. On May 22, 2024, Judge Emeka Mbite granted Kyari bail to allow him conclude the burial rites of his mother, who died on May 5. The court scheduled May 31, 2024 for the hearing on Kyari's main application for bail about the drug trafficking charges. Giving updates, the spokesperson of the Nigerian Correctional Service of the Federal Capital Territory Command, Adamu Duza, confirmed to newsmen that Kyari met his bail conditions and was released on Friday. Scores of activists have hit the streets of Lagos on Saturday, demanding an end to what they described as the mischievous use of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission platform to malign perceived enemies by opposition forces. The activists, who frowned at the consistent call for anarchy in a democratic setting by those that their investigations had established to be working for non-opposition figures in Kogi State, called on the EFCC to ignore the sponsored desperate calls and focus on towing the path of the rule of law. The over 80 human rights civil society organizations under the broad umbrella of Citizens Action Against Lawlessness said those calling for the EFCC to ignore an ongoing court process and forcefully arrest a defendant, former Governor Yahaya Bello, were not only ignorant of the rule of law and up to some mischief, but also tools in the hands of desperate political actors to rubbish the integrity of the commission.
In Kogi State, the person of Muri Ajaka called for state of emergency in the state because they are not the wound. They are not out of the electoral trauma that they went to. They are trying every means. These oppositions are putting every resources together just to cause anarchy in the state, so that the federal government can declare a state of emergency in Kogi State. We are saying that, look, EFCC, you have to do your job. We are not saying you shouldn't do your job, but I must tell you this, that look, we should not politicize EFCC. We should always obey the rule of law. Somebody that you have arraigned in court that has a date to show up at the court. I don't know why the oppositions in the state are trying everything possible to bring the former governor Yahaya Bello down. We are not saying you should not prosecute him, but what we are saying is simple. Some people, like I said the last time, some hoodlums that the opposition party are sponsoring on the street of Lagos were calling on the military to forcefully and adopt the former governor Yahaya Bello, calling that the SEC and the army should go to his house and break it down and adopt him by force. We are saying this is not right. We are not in banana republic. We refuse to go by this. The court and the rule of law remains what guides us as a country. We will not allow this to.
Away from that, a total of 70,603 candidates on Saturday sat for the 2024 National Common Entrance Examination conducted by the National Examinations Council into the 110 Unity colleges nationwide. The Registrar of NECO, Professor Dantani Wushishi, disclosed this while monitoring the exercise at the Model Secondary School, Maitama, and Government Day Secondary School, Wuse 2, Abuja. Wushishi said the examination was conducted in 599 centers across the country. He, however, lamented that the 2024 registration of 70,603 was lower than that of 2023, which had 72,865. The Abuja Electricity Distribution Company has announced its decision to disconnect 24 federal government establishments, including the Federal Ministry of Finance, as well as Kogi and Niger states, over unpaid electricity bills. The company claimed that various ministries, departments, and agencies collectively owe it over 100 billion naira. It emphasized the importance of timely bill payments for the maintenance and improving of its infrastructure, which is essential for delivering reliable electricity services to the community. The Electricity Distribution Company also reiterated its call for all customers with outstanding debts to settle their bills before the deadline on Monday to avoid disconnection. Well, I'll tell you that Amnesty International has called on the need to build a culture of respect for human rights among the next generation of Nigerians. This was made known in the nation's capital, Abuja, during the Amnesty International Youth Colloquy on Peaceful Assembly and its Intervarsity Debate Grand Finale. Amnesty International says that the events will help empower young voices and foster meaningful dialogue on the fundamental right to peaceful assembly. Amadine Uyi reports.
According to the globaleconomy.com, Nigeria ranked 21st among countries with the worst record for human rights and rule of law violations in 2023. This has been confirmed by several reports by international human rights watchdog Amnesty International, which claims that rights violations continue to occur in West Africa's largest black nation. In order to increase their awareness and need to ensure that young Nigerians embrace the right to peaceful assembly, Amnesty International has organized a debate series featuring students from 12 universities across the country to help encourage debates and help youths embrace the culture of human rights.
We organized this program in order to bring young people into the human rights space. And the reason why we are doing it is to make sure that we create a culture of debate, and we also encourage young people to have a very good idea of human rights so that they can grow up to help in creating a Nigeria in which human rights are respected.
Amnesty says that it is targeting youths intentionally because it aims to build a society where human rights is respected.
If we concentrate on giving the younger people human rights education, definitely we will be able to build a society in which the rights of everyone are protected and respected. Best way to simplify or make the work of spreading human rights easier is to make sure that those who are coming up, the leaders of the future, have that culture of human rights in themselves.
And so the idea again is also to sustain, apart from this place, as they go back to the school, they become champions of what we talk about as human rights.
Some of the students who took part in the debates shared their experiences.
As a student, it has helped me realize that there's so much room for work. It's helped me realize the frameworks that are in place and how we can improve these frameworks. And it's helped me discover NGOs like Amnesty International and many more. They are doing great work to promote human rights in Nigeria and the world as a whole.
I think that Amnesty has encouraged me to be more incisive about my understanding of the law, because to participate in those debates, I have to do a lot of law reviews and just analysis, just so I could make a good presentation on the stage.
With Nigeria's human rights rating not having the best of records, it is hoped that this new generation of citizens, expected to be leaders of tomorrow, will embrace human rights as a norm. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
International Museum Day is an annual event that aims to raise public awareness of museums as invaluable repositories of artistic, cultural, historical, traditional, and fascinating artifacts. Museums offer a wealth of knowledge and insight. They play a vital role in educating people about their nation's art, architecture, culture, history, and civilization. Bettina Nweli tells us more in this report.
The International Museum Day focuses on a different theme each year, reflecting relevant topics or challenges encountered by museums globally. The theme for this year, Museums for Education and Research, emphasizes the crucial role of cultural institutions in delivering a comprehensive educational experience.
The theme also helps to showcase our cultural heritage to the public, to the world. And this year's theme as well, brings everybody together, for them to come and be aware of what we have, in the National Museum. As, we celebrated, we had the children perform, in their local dialect. They spoke in their local dialects. They did performances. We had different cultural performances in different ethnic tribes. So that is part of the research and the education we're talking about. We create that awareness.
Many artifacts housed in museums are open to the public, providing valuable insights into the lifestyles, tools, and creations of ancient civilizations. Here at the National Museum, Onikon, Lagos, Nigeria, so many treasures abound. History is on full display. But how easy or difficult is it to run and maintain a museum?
This is our culture. Museum is our heritage. There's nowhere in the world that you go to, you don't go and visit the museum. So financially, we need assistance. Well, they need assistance. I'm talking as if I'm still here. Anyway, they need assistance, a whole lot of it. So the individuals, government can't do it alone. It's impossible. They can't do it alone. So we need interventions from private organizations and anyone who is interested.
As we learned today, International Museum Day was established by ICOM in 1977 for museums all around the world to celebrate themselves, really, and to portray themselves to the public, open their doors to the public and say, hey, we are here. Come and celebrate with us. Come and be part of our community. I would say, in closing, if you haven't been to the National Museum Onikon in a while, do come. They have some very lovely objects and the staff are great.
The establishment of International Museum Day by the International Council of Museums aims to unite museums globally and emphasize their significant role in raising awareness, fostering understanding, and promoting the appreciation of diverse cultures. To commemorate this occasion, you can visit museums in your area and actively engage in events organized by these institutions. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nweli.
News Central now continues with updates on the elections in South Africa. The leader of South Africa's radical leftist Economic Freedom Fighters Party, Julius Malema, says his party has achieved its mission of bringing the ruling ANC party below 50%. Malema, during a press conference in Midrand, however, suggested it is still willing to work with the ANC in a possible coalition.
But we are happy, we're the happiest because we have achieved our mission in our lifetime. And that mission was to bring the ANC below 50%. That's what we have always told you, that this animal is going to be eaten piece by piece. We want to work with the ANC. If there's any party that we can work with and work properly, it's the ANC.
Meanwhile, South Africa's ruling ANC face a search for allies to help it form a new government after it lost its 3-decade-old absolute majority in a watershed election. With 99% of the votes from Wednesday's election counted, President Cyril Ramaphosa's African National Congress had only 40%, a catastrophic slump from the 57.5 it won in 2019. This marks an historic turning point for South Africa, as the party has enjoyed an absolute majority since 1994, when liberation leader Nelson Mandela led the nation out of white minority rule and into democracy. The ANC must now either negotiate a coalition government or at least persuade other parties to back Ramaphosa's re-election in parliament to allow him to form a minority government reliant on other parties for support to pass budgets and legislation. KwaZulu-Natal regional spokesman of the African National Congress says the party has accepted the results of this week's elections. According to the results, the newly formed MK party of former President Jacob Zuma is in the lead in the province and so set to unseat the ruling ANC.
He has accepted the result, and as the ANC, what is foremost now in our mind are two things. One is the fact that there was a clear protest from our people. Our people are saying we love the ANC, but the ANC must self-correct. We have already started that program of organizational renewal. I think we need to fast-track that. We must no longer only speak about acting against corruption. We must be seen as doing that. We must be seen as giving our people the service. That is the message that our...
Well, staying with the development in South Africa, we are now joined by a political analyst, Sisi Duma, and she joins us from Durban in South Africa. Thank you so much, Sisi, for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me.
So for you, what factors would you say contributed to the newly formed MK party of former President Jacob Zuma gaining a lead in KwaZulu-Natal, and how has that got to do with the political landscape in the province in terms of impact?
Okay, so the formation of the MK is basically a breakaway from the ANC by members who were no longer happy with how the ANC was going about ruling the country and specifically the province. Now, one of the main issues that were arising was that the ANC was no longer catering to the basic needs of the people of the country and the people of the province. And another very, very huge issue was that Zulu speaking South Africans felt that the ANC was disrespecting the Zulu monarch. So all of these factors contributed to the move or to the migration to the MK party.
So having said that now, how is the ANC strategizing to address, how do you expect it to strategize to address the significant loss of support in KwaZulu-Natal and probably the potential need for a coalition to form a government?
It's a very difficult beast to slaughter, this one, because most of the votes that went to the MK were from ANC members. They're not sure who the members are that voted for the MK, so it's very difficult to discipline them. It's very difficult to isolate the party because their members are there as well. So they have two options. They can either decide to completely forget about the members that have left and have joined the MK and form coalitions elsewhere, with the IFP and the DA, for example, or they can go back to the drawing board and go to those MK members and ask them, how do we fix this? What can we do to bring you guys back?
But there have been questions as to how they will be able to synergize in terms of the different ideologies that they have. So for you, what do you think are the key differences in the policies and ideologies between these other parties, most especially the MK party and the ANC, and how might these differences influence the political dynamics going forward?
Okay, so this would be the first time that our country has a coalition on national level and a coalition on a provincial level. We've had coalition on local government level, and it has not worked out because of the very same issues that you're currently addressing now about differing ideologies. I think MK and the ANC are similar because, like I said, they come from the same mother. But the biggest difference is that the MK is speaking against the constitution, which is what the ANC is standing on. So the MK wants that relooked and scrapped, and they wanted to focus more on the natives of South Africa, whereas the ANC says, no, everybody in South Africa must be a priority. So I think that's a big gap there. And then there's another huge gaping gap between the ANC and the DA, who is a potential coalition partner. It's the Palestine versus Israel war, where ANC is very pro-Palestine, whereas the DA is pro-Israel, which is something they're both not willing to compromise on. So that's also something that might become a factor when these coalition talks begin.
So where do we place the EFF now? Because they have come out to say, Julius Malema has come out to say that they are willing to partner with ANC. So if the DA and the ANC partnership does not work, and we have an ANC and other parties not work, maybe EFF could work with the ANC.
Am I still here? Right now, the EFF really suffered a huge blow with the emergence of the MK because most of its members actually went there. So they're at a very crucial position here where the longevity of their party relies on what they do next. And as we've heard, Julius Malema has decided to take a stance to partner with the ANC. Now, I can tell you from the get-go that this has been met with divisiveness between the members of the party. Some are happy that he's taken the stance, while others feel like it's a betrayal because they initially formed the party to remove the ANC from government. But right now, he's using his 9% to save the ANC, essentially. So some members do feel a betrayal.
Okay, Sisi Duma, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you so much for talking to us and helping us understand this better.
Thank you for having me.
We now head up north of the African continent, where units of the Royal Moroccan Armed Forces and American forces have taken part in air and land military maneuvers in Tantan, southern Morocco, during the closing of the Moroccan-American military exercise called African Lion. General Michael Langley, commander of the United States Africa Command, during a speech said the exercise marks 20 years of work with Moroccan and other international partners to build fundamental cooperation and mutual support.
Beautiful day. Beautiful way to cap off the exercise of African Lion 2024. And as you know, that African Lion is United States Africa Command in partnership with the Kingdom of Morocco. It's a premier multinational combined joint exercise. This milestone year for this exercise marks 20 years of working with our Moroccan and our other international partners to build a foundational cooperation and mutual support. This exercise has grown over the years since 2004. Not only in the number of multinational service members that we train with, but also the scope of the training as well is expanded more than just a security construct. It was also stabilization.
فقد أصبح تمرين أسد إفريقي محطة لأكبر مناورة عسكرية تعرفها القارة الإفريقية وملتقى لأزيد من 20 دولة ودول عن حلف شمال الأطلسي كلها تعمل تحت سقف وطائر هذا التمرين من أجل الرفع من مستوى جاهزيتها وتوافقيتها تحسبا للعمل المشترك من أجل مواجهة التحديات التي بإمكانها أن تمس الأمن والسلم سواء على المستوى.
From other continents, we tell you that India's Hindu nationalist Prime Minister Narendra Modi looked set to win a third straight landslide election victory on Saturday at the close of a 6-week general election bedeviled by Syrian heatwaves. Results will be formally announced on Tuesday, but Modi's victory has long been treated as a foregone conclusion by analysts, in large part due to his aggressive championing of India's majority faith. Exit polls showed he was well on track to triumph, and Modi himself was certain he had prevailed, saying he was confident that the people of India have voted in record numbers to re-elect his government. Many in Modi's constituency of Varanasi who cast their vote on Saturday were nonetheless excited at the prospect of his return to power. And now we tell you that Chinese defense official has accused the United States of seeking to build an Asia-Pacific version of NATO to maintain its hegemony in the region, and describes the superpower as the greatest challenge to regional peace and stability. Lieutenant General Jean Janvin made the remarks on the sidelines of a major security forum in Singapore, where U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin earlier hailed a new era of security for the region.
事实证明，美国才是国际秩序的最大烂源，全球治理进程的最大绊脚石，地区和平稳定的最大挑战。近年来，美方背弃承诺，虚化掏空一中原则，驻台谋独，武装台湾，搅乱台海。解放军绝不允许台湾从中国分离出去。台独等于战争，解放军练兵备战绝不停息，打突促统绝不停步，错步外来干涉绝不手软，坚决完成捍卫国家主权和领土完整的。
Talking business now, Nigeria's Dangote refinery has started exporting its first jet fuel cargo to Europe. This signals a significant milestone in the global energy market and showcases the rapid operational expansion of the massive facility. According to a Friday report from S&P Global Commodity Insights, BP is currently transporting 45,000 metric tons of jet fuel from Dangote refinery to Rotterdam aboard the Dorich Breeze. This export marks the refinery's debut in the European market following a substantial 120,000 metric ton tender. In sports, Nigerian UK-based boxer Patricia Mbata has advanced to the quarterfinals at the ongoing boxing road to Paris 2024 Olympic Games in Bangkok, Thailand. She secured a split decision victory 4-1 over Brazilian Pereira Vivien in the women's 75-kilogram category. Mbata, alongside Additional, remain the sole Nigerian boxer to have won a bout in the tournament, following the exits of Ifeanyi Onyekwere in the men's 92-plus kilogram class and Blessing Orakwe in the women's 66-kilogram class. Progression to the semi-finals will secure slots for the remaining Nigerian pugilists in the women's 2024 Olympic boxing tournament in Paris, France. The boxing road to Paris 2024 Olympic qualifying event in Thailand concludes on Sunday, June 2, 2024. And I'll tell you that the 2024 Ibom Championship tourney at Ibom Golf Course in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State expects no fewer than 172 players nationwide to participate, including former governors, deputy governors, and senators. They will compete for prizes in the Ibom 2024 Open Tournament starting today. Usenabong Akpabio, the golf course captain, assured that all arrangements are in place. Notable participants include former governors of Kogi State, Cross River, and Kano, alongside former senators and industrial leaders. The event promises excitement with 200 professional and amateur golfers from across Nigeria converging on Uyo for a 3-day tournament from September 24 to 27, 20 at the Ibom Icon Hotel and Golf Resorts. Alina Rybakina progressed to the last 16 of the French Open with a 6-4, 6-2 triumph over Elise Mertens. Breaking 3 times consecutively, the former Wimbledon champion clinched a tightly contested first set against the 25th seed before dominating the second. This victory marks Rybakina's second appearance in the Roland Garros last 16, positioning her to emulate our 2021 performance by aiming for the quarterfinals. Despite initial pressure from Mertens, Rybakina's adept returning and consistent serving secured her the opening set. Throughout the match, Rybakina's strong performance, whether at the net or the baseline, thwarted Mertens' attempts at a comeback. Rybakina now looks ahead to her next challenge against either Elina Svitolina or Anna Bogdan, eyeing her second Roland Garros quarterfinal on Monday. In a dazzling debut at the U.S. Darts Masters in New York, Luke Littler swiftly dispatched Matt Campbell 6-0 in under 10 minutes. The 17-year-old sensation dominated with a remarkable 103.66 average, marking his first match in the United States with an impressive victory at Madison Square Garden. Fresh from his Premier League triumph in London on May 23, Littler emerged as the main attraction. He gears up to face Jeff Smith on Saturday following Smith's 6-1 victory over Michael Smith. Meanwhile, reigning world champion Luke Humphries secured a spot in the quarterfinals by defeating Canadian veteran David Cameron 6-0. Marco Van Guren, seeking his third U.S. Darts Masters title, triumphed over Daniel Lobby 6-1 after a shaky start. The tournament's action-packed conclusion featuring quarterfinals and semi-finals unfold on Saturday evening. Jose Mourinho in discussions with Fenerbahce regarding the head coach position as confirmed by the Turkish Super League club on Saturday. The Portuguese manager seeking a return to coaching following his departure from AS Roma earlier this year is eyeing a role with the team that secured second place in the Super League, trailing Galatasaray by 3 points. If appointed, Mourinho would secure Ismail Kartel, whose tenure saw just one league defeat but suffered from 6 draws, impacting their title aspirations. Tasked with leading Fenerbahce to their first league championship since 2013-2014, Mourinho brings a wealth of experience for managing illustrious clubs across Europe, including Porto, Chelsea, Inter Milan, Real Madrid, and Manchester United. His recent stint with Roma saw them claim the Europa Conference League in 2022, enhancing his credentials for the Fenerbahce role. That's all at this hour. Before we go, we take a look at our top stories. Manufacturers Association of Nigeria says private sector accepts government 60,000 naira minimum wage offer. Nigeria's former minister Ezekwesili slams government military over spate of insecurity. We also told you that South Africa's opposition leader Malema willing to work with humbled African National Congress. Please send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number and email on your screen. You can follow us on social media via @News Central TV. Watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.